Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys have had a good week so far. I hope you guys are dealing with the cold. I know my allergies are kind of beating my butt up a little bit. So, if I sound a little off, it is because of that. My allergies are kind of taking me out. A lot to cover in this one. I woke up this morning with a bunch of reports saying that there's been huge progress made in the trade deal. So I took a look at the reports, saw some interesting stuff, and I was like, all right, let me jump on really quick this morning. It's 10 a.m. right now. So I want to come on, give some updates, give my thoughts, and let you guys know what's going on. But before we do that, before we jump into it, please do not forget to like, subscribe. It really does help the channel out. But other than that, let's jump into it. Substantial progress, people are saying, has been made in the trade deal. I've seen multiple articles saying that major progress has been made or steps have been taken. Um, I uh, I kind of disagree. I think while yes, progress is definitely being made, it does seem like the U.S. is not really walking back their hardline stance, but maybe not pushing as aggressively on the all cash offer. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. This is from Yahoo Finance. Substantial progress made in South Korea-U.S. trade agreement, officials say, which I quibble with. But it continues. Uh, Chief South Korean Presidential Secretary for Policy Kim Young-bum on Sunday announced that substantial progress was made in negotiations toward a trade framework over the weekend. A significant agreement, quote, significant agreement, was reached during a visit by South Korean trade officials to Washington, he told South Korean media. Kim maintained that certain key issues need to be coordinated. That's very important there. Certain key issues need to be coordinated. But his outlook is sunnier than before his visit. South Korean outlet MBN reported the policy chief said the meeting helped increase the likelihood that a full-fledged trade agreement can be reached during the APEC summit in Seoul later this month, which Trump and other U.S. cabinet members plan to attend. So, increase and likelihood. This is not telling me what I think, you know, everyone else in the media is kind of reporting here that major strides are being taken. This is not, while this is, they're saying, publicly, like, yes, we believe we're making progress. Um, to me, this seems like small steps are being taken. And I'll get to why I think that. But this really seems like small steps are being taken um, in moving the needle forward. And we have actual reporting on that. This is from Naver News. It reads, South Korea and U.S. to sign tariff and nuclear power agreement in Gwangju. Let's take a look here. South Korea and the United States are expected to include in the agreement reached at the summit between President Lee Jae-myung and U.S. President Donald Trump on the 29th a clause stating that South Korea will invest approximately $350 billion in the United States and the U.S. will lower Korean imports from 25% to 15%. This marks the first time that the details of the South Korea-U.S. trade tariff negotiations have been put into a concrete document. The Office of President plans to finalize a Memorandum of Understanding on tariff negotiations between the South Korea and U.S. cabinet through follow-up negotiations based on this summit agreement. Guys, Memorandum of Understanding. They did not say that they're going to finalize the trade agreement. They said they're going to finalize the Memorandum of Understanding. That, to me, is not the steps of major progress. That, to me, seems like the ball is rolling rather slowly. That this is all being slow rolled. And what is a memorandum of understanding? What is a memorandum of understanding? I had to look it up because I was like, well, what is that? What does that do for trade negotiations? This is what it is. A memorandum of understanding is a formal document outlining an agreement between two or more parties, detailing shared goals, responsibility, and scope of cooperation. Get this. It serves preliminary as the preliminary framework often used in early stage negotiations, but is typically not legally binding. Guys, this is not like if we're talking about getting this trade deal done quickly, getting it done by the APEC summit, that's not what that's not what they're saying. This deal is not getting done by the APEC summit. This is not going to be wrapped up and finished by the APEC summit. They are only signing on to a memorandum of understanding, and get this, only specifically stating, outlining, and detailing the goals we already knew about months ago. This is not where this is a lot of energy being spent on a deal that's going to be slow walked. This is kind of where I think we're at, that they're slow walking this deal. And the reason why I say that is take a look back at the article. Take a look back at this article. And let's look here. It says, to reflect the bilateral agreement on Korea-U.S. trade negotiations in bilateral agreement to be concluded at the summit. The main points of the agreements are that the Korean government will establish a $350 billion investment fund in the United States and invest in the United States, while the U.S. government will reduce tariffs on Korean imports from 25% to 15%. The details of the agreement reached between the two sides, such as the mid to long-term investment plans, are expected to be included in the fact sheet, a summary of the details of the summit agreement. Get this. The government plans to coordinate on the one or two key issues defined by Director Kim in follow-up negotiations and include them in future memorandums of understanding. So they're saying, hey, we have a couple of things that we're actually not quite finished on, that we're not quite done with, and we're going to outline them not in this agreement, but in the next one. And not only that, the hangups that they're talking about aren't small hangups. They're the whole bread and butter of the deal. Look at this. The government aims to reach agreements with the U.S. on remaining issues such as investment selection method and proportion of cash, loans, and guarantees within the fund through follow-up negotiations. The money. They haven't agreed on the payment. The big hang-up of this whole trade deal is how are they going to pay? And they're saying here, we'll deal with that later. So are we actually making real progress? Because I believe, I believe that the Koreans got happy. I don't have any evidence of this, but I believe that the Koreans were happy that the U.S. signed on to say, okay, we will sign on to your memorandum of understanding. But the memorandum of understanding is not legally binding. The memorandum of understanding is not enforceable. It's just the framework of the deal that we already knew the initial framework of. All the U.S. is agreeing is to the investment into lower tariffs. They're not agreeing to how it's going to be invested. They're not agreeing to how it's going to be paid. They're just agreeing to what we all already knew. I don't know. I kind of look at this, you know, I've only had this information for a couple of hours, but I kind of look at this as a nothing burger, as as I just I don't see really too much movement by the United States. Sure, they've agreed to the memorandum of understanding, but that still they still have not been able to negotiate the sticking point, which is how are they going to finance this? We'll figure that out later. But that is the core sticking point. Let's finish this off. Let's finish this off. The office of the president stated details of the Korea US tariff negotiations are currently under discussion and added the memorandum of understanding signing is likely to occur after the summit. After the summit. Guys, like I I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think this showcases strength in these negotiations. I think the negotiations have stalled. I think they're getting small victories. I mean, sure, yeah, the U.S. agreed to sign on to a non-binding agreement. Like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know how that's showing any sign really of strength that this deal is going to get done, considering that the main sticking point, the main hang up is um the investment arm of this. How are they going to fund it? How are they going to fund it? And they said they're still in negotiations for that. That part hasn't moved. We'll sign that part later down the road. Okay. Okay. We have a memorandum of understanding. Um I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know where we sit here. I don't know if this is good or if this looks like a stalled deal. You know what? I'm gonna call it. I think we are at a stalled point. I think I've come to the conclusion that the deals have stalled. That's like me in the moment, 10 a.m. I haven't had coffee. I haven't had anything yet. Um, just looking at how they're talking, how they're saying that things have progressed, how they're saying that things have improved, but at the same time, the main sticking point, yeah, we're still in negotiations for that. You can't get the U.S. to sign on to you can't even, yeah, no, I'm going to double down on this now. You can't even get the U.S. to sign on to a memorandum of understanding for the financing. They're not willing to sign on to it. So how is this progress in the trade negotiations? How is this actual progress in the trade negotiation? I am curious what's going to happen because like I said before, um I again, this is speculation time. I don't have any evidence of it. Like I said before, I believe that this all comes down to the meeting between the US or between Donald Trump specifically and Lee Jae-myung and how that meeting goes. Because they're going to have the cabinet there. They're going to have everyone there, both cabinets down in Gwangju. They're going to have everyone there. And I think where this deal either lives or dies is on the table at the summit. Because I think looking at this memorandum of understanding, it's a nothing but burger. There's nothing in this that we didn't already know. It's the first time it's written on paper, and that the two parties are signing onto it. But it's not enforceable. It's not binding. And so I don't think this really moves the needle in towards getting the deal done. I think this is just spinning the tires and doing a little bit of fanfare. Um, you're kicking up mud, but you're not really going anywhere. Um, yeah, I think we are going to see again speculation time. We're going to see at the at the summit whether or not the Koreans decide to stick with this, because if there's still resistance by the Trump administration, if there's still resistance to the offer being currency swaps, being loans, then I think the Koreans walk away. I don't see how that this moves forward, and I've been saying this for a while now. You can't force this deal. You can't force this deal. All right, that's where we are. That is where we are in this. I think we are at a nothing burger. I've cemented my I've cemented my opinion while just going through this with you guys. But yeah, no, I think we're at the point where, we're just spinning our tires and, we're just spinning our tires and kicking up mud, but we're not truly moving in any real direction. And it's been like that, I feel like, for a while. And it's interesting to me because you hear a lot of these news agencies say, oh, they're just regurgitating, what the politicians say, but they're not actually breaking down what's happening. And that's what we're trying to do here. It's breaking down everything they're saying, looking at how everything's moving, and making an assessment based off of what we see. So, but yeah, that is where we are. That is where we are, guys. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked that video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you have a comment, go ahead and leave it down there in the comments. Thank you. See you in the next one.